G'day friends, welcome back to yet another episode of Beneath the Beats. Today we are discussing Tre Cool versus Travis Barker, and I'm pretty confident a lot of you out there got into drumming or music after hearing, say, a fill out of Jesus of Suburbia by Green Day. Or that fill in the intro of First Date by Blink-182. Whatever it is, today we're going into a detailed breakdown of each of these players' setups, what they play on tour, and their different styles. And I'm keen to gather your thoughts on, are you Team Tre or are you Team Travis? Let's get stuck into it. So one of the most powerful things about Tre Cool is his ability to know where to place drum fills. I underrated this guy after learning these fills. This guy has power, he has precision, but he doesn't let that affect his unique flair and almost goofy-like performance at times. That's what makes this guy so special. He's his own player. One of Tre's other powerful traits is his ability to serve the song and give it just what it needs. And you'll see this in this clip here. Straight down the line, not overplaying, and having an absolute blast. You'll also see his tasty use of the floor tom in songs like Holiday. All in all, Tre's grooves are unmistakable. And another example is the way he uses his hi-hat slightly open when he's ripping those eighth note grooves in songs like Basket Case. And these are littered throughout all of Green Day's tunes. Tre Cool is also a bit of a larrikin, which we all love. He brings another element to Green Day. You know, he's almost a bit of a comedian at times. What? There you go, the floor toms again. I don't think he minds being the centre of attention at times, hey. Travis Barker, where do we start? The guy doesn't only write drum parts, he writes drum riffs. With Travis, drums lead the charge, and you'll notice that a lot of Blink-182 songs actually start with drums, and that sets the tone for the rest of the songs. One of the other powerful things about Travis is he comes from a drumline background, so his ability to transfer rudiments from a pad to a drum kit and make use of cymbals and everything else is better than most too. The guy is happy being the center of attention. Tre sits back a little bit more than Travis. The other quality about Travis is he is just so damn passionate about the instrument. So much so that he didn't even let a broken arm stop him from performing on stage. I think for most of us, break a wrist or an arm, that is lights out, man. Like, that. Not for this guy. Travis also has the ability to come up with quirky sounds with his kit. You know, whether that be a second snare, a cowbell. But here's a clip of Travis using that second snare in a really tasty way. Absolute beast. Alright friends, it's time to discuss both these players' drum setups, and we're going to start with Tre Cool. So as a lot of Tre Cool fans know, he has previously worked with SJC drums, and a lot of the time his drums were super custom, you know, in regards to the finishes. You'd see Tre Cool with almost a different finish every show, it felt like anyway. Well, he's since moved to Ludwig, and the customization of his finishes has not stopped. You can't stop this guy. So this kit here, as you can see, I have built based on resources and a bit of stuff on the internet that I could find. And this one is a custom legacy maple. And as you can see, the finish looks awesome. It's personally one of my favorite Tre Cool finishes. And he said it's influenced by a RuPaul wallpaper type scenario. But yeah, it's super cool. And as we zoom in close here, you'll see the detail I tried to get the silver sparkle underneath, which is actually what is on the kit. It's like a silver sparkle underlay with these stripes. We'll start with the kick drum in terms of sizing. So he has a 22 by 18 kick drum here. Yeah, cannon of a kick drum, but wouldn't expect anything less of Tré. Moving up to the rack tom, we have a pretty common size for Tre Cool with his rack tom. That is a 13 by 9. No surprises there. But he has this sitting pretty high. I like the angle that he uses his rack tom, and the height just suits his playing style and the way he attacks the drums. As you'll see here, you'll notice straight away 3 floor toms. So 2 main floor toms down to the right of him. That is a 16 by 16 there, and an 18 by 16 finishing off the floors on this side. If we go around here, he has this extra floor tom, which is a 16 by 14 depth, so a bit of a shallower floor tom there for a different dynamic. So yeah, I kind of like this 3 floor tom setup. I reckon it opens up your possibilities with utilising it for drum fills and stuff, which you will see him do in the Jesus of Suburbia fills. So moving around to his snare, this one was a little bit of a mystery. I couldn't really pinpoint exactly what make or model the snare was. Assuming Ludwig now, but who knows with Tre Cool. I mean, the guy can do whatever he wants. He's Tre Cool, right? He actually had a custom snare made by Noble and Cooley that he used on multiple Green Day records. So if any of you Green Day or Tre Cool nerds know a bit more about that snare drum, leave some stuff in the comments. We'd like to know more about that. But yeah, 14 by 6.5 depth. My favorite depth of snare drum. That's exactly what I use. One of the most eye-catching things about Tre Cool's setup is the height of his 2 crash cymbals here. You'll notice these straight away with Green Day concerts. And he goes for a different dynamic with these, but we'll start with the hi-hat. So here we have a 14K custom set of hi-hats. Now that is the KZ combo, but I think he's been prone to change cymbals up. So it's hard to keep up with this guy into what models of cymbals he's using, but I'm just using this as a bit of a, blueprint of what he usually uses. Stepping up to this left side high cymbal, a 19K dark custom crash. Over here, a bit of a brighter dynamic. So he goes for usually an A medium thin this side, both 19, perhaps maybe a 20 sometimes on this side for that sonic difference. But with the dark and the bright sound, that is already creating that sonic difference between these 2 cymbals. Stepping down here to the ride, couldn't get an exact model on this ride cymbal, but in videos I saw, it had the K logo, so assuming something within the K range, 22 to 23 inches. Stepping up here, I found this one interesting that he commonly uses a crash ride, and this one is a 20-inch crash ride up here. And I mean, heavier cymbal, different dynamic to those 2 crashes at the front here. And you could utilize it with a few more dynamics between the 2 bells of the rides. So, I mean, not a silly option there. This one is super interesting, and I've never actually hit one of these before, but Tré has used these often in his setups, and that is a 19K custom hybrid trash smash. That was a mouthful. And then we've got a sneaky little Zill bell down here, something in the 8-inch range. Tré uses 1 kick pedal, no double kicks over here. DW hardware, of course. Goes well with Ludwig. That's a common combination. And last but not least, I almost forgot the drum heads. He is a Remo drum head player. Typically Remo Emperor coateds on the toms. So yeah, Remo coated on top. Ambassador on the Rezo side, Ambassador clears. Tré has been known to use Emperor coated X snare top. On the kick drum, a P3 clear, which you'll see down here. On the other side, which is the Rezo, a Ebony. This changes from times to times, of course. But that rounds out Tré's setup. Has a bit of flair, as you'd expect from Tré. Alrighty, let's roll over to Travis, and I managed to find some information on Travis, even through his drum tech, Daniel Jensen, who has a video online about Travis's setup, particularly in the last tour, which is what this kit is based on. And I'm going to give credit to this user here on Drumstructor. He has created this kit I've got a bunch of kits under my name, which is Beneath the Beats. But shout out to this user on Drumstructor for this. He just did such an amazing job that I'm going to use this and correct it with a few different things of what I found information-wise. But this is a very, very good example of a current Travis Barker setup. It looks tasty. I mean, I just ate sushi for dinner, but now I want to eat this drum kit. Jelly Bean acrylic DW drum kit here for Travis. And he's had some pretty cool drum kits in the past, but this is up there with my favorite too. How sick is that? And what else is funny is this kit was actually for sale on Reverb. I had a look, went through some archives, and I think it sold for around 53,000 Australian dollars, which whatever that is in United States and around the world, conversion, I don't know, but whoever's got that, that is certainly one for the collection. So let's get stuck into this drum kit. We'll start with the kick. 22 by 14 kick drum here. Stepping up to the rack tom. So Travis, with his punchy style, doesn't really need massive rack toms. So this one is a 12 by 8, which makes a lot of sense. And as a lot of people know, Travis puts his drums fairly flat. That's a quirky little setup thing for Travis that stems right back from the drumline days. Sitting them flat just suited his playing and the way he rips rudiments on the kit, very drumline-like. I was a massive Travis fan, particularly growing up. I had all my drums flat just because I wanted to be Travis, all right? Everyone wants to be Travis. So stepping down to the floor toms, this particular setup, Jelly Bean setup, seems a bit punchier than the rest that was explained in some of the videos I saw from Daniel Jensen, his drum tech. This floor tom seems to be around that 14 by 13 or 14 by 14 depth, so a bit punchier than some of the other floor toms we've seen of Travis. This one here being around that 16 mark. Typical floor setup is, you know, that 16 by 14. That's usually a main floor tom sizing for Travis, but yeah, as I said, prone to changing it up, and that's what he's done here. 2 floor toms. So the snare is a 14 by 6.5, and typical of Travis Barker, he uses bell bronze a fair bit, and according to Travis's tech, that is a bell bronze snare. Snare 2 here is a really cool snare that he uses dynamically for grooves. You will see that in this video. And interesting enough, it is a PDP black nickel over steel. The depth is a 12 by 6. So yeah, you can tune that thing up, crank that thing up, which he does, and it just absolutely cracks. It's a great dynamic between the 2 snares there, and it looks really cool live when he plays that, rips that out live with Blink 182. Stepping up to the cymbals, we have a 16-inch A custom here to the left. Here is a 10-inch splash. So A customs are a staple in Travis's cymbal collection. I reckon he's one of the guys that made A custom cymbals very famous. Over this side, between 16 to 17 A custom. Now down here, this user has put A customs here, which isn't wrong. However, I'm just going to go off what Travis's tech went with in his typical setup for this time. Typically uses a 23K sweet ride. Up here, a 21K sweet ride. Interesting dynamic, but hey, it obviously works. Sometimes he'll use a thinner cymbal this side, I'm pretty sure. This one here is an 18K dark china with a 12 spiral stack. So that rounds out the cymbals. DW hardware, he usually uses checkered grip tape on his kick pedals. He used a double kick pedal on the most recent Tour 2. He also had a third pedal here, which isn't shown in this one, which is a Roland RD7 pedal, like a trigger that's used for 808 drops and stuff, which is what Daniel Jensen, his tech, outlined. Yeah, all DW hardware, obviously. Stepping up to the drum heads, it is not uncommon for Travis to use Emperor clears and coateds, and even the color tones on his toms. As outlined by his tech, it's very common to see him use Emperor's top and bottoms for his toms. Typically, he uses on his main snare an Emperor X coated, and on the side snare, a vintage coated Emperor. Down to the kick, we have a P3 clear, and he uses typically a coated ambassador or a clear in this circumstance. Now begs the question, which player do you guys lean more towards, both setup-wise and playing style? Maybe it's something that you identify with your playing or musical personality. I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I tend to lean towards more Travis, and the aesthetic of Travis's drum kits really drew me into being interested in gear and stuff, but also his playing style really influenced me in getting started on drum. In the perfect world, we could have some kind of hybrid, you know, take some of Travis's qualities, like his ability to put rudiments onto the drum kit, and a bit of Tre Cool's swing and ability to fit in a song so well, crossbreed into some sort of Indominus Rex of drumming. But until next time, friends, rock on. I mean, punk on.